All right, there's a lot to consider if you get into an accident, Kara.
And understanding your insurance is so important.
Attorney Brook Goff from Goff Law is joining us now to talk about it with her turkey socks on. That's what I was laughing at the beginning.
They're good. They're like doing a jig, right?
I love it. They're fantastic.
That's great.
I believe your whole day starts and ends with the type of socks you wear in the morning.
That's very true. I just have regular.
Scott believes that
You have
too.
good ones.
Yeah, they're all right. How are you? I love
I'm
the
good.
shoes, too.
Oh, thank you.
All right, I don't really know too much about my insurance policy. All I can see.
That's a shame.
Yes, all I can see are numbers 500,000 and 100,000. Do those numbers mean anything?
Well, usually you're not going to have 500 and 100 on the same policy. So let's talk about it. So I think that when people, the one term people misuse all the time is I have full coverage, right? Full coverage in my world doesn't really exist. So many people come in, I got in an accident, don't worry, I have full coverage. Well, what does that mean to you? Because to me, it doesn't mean a lot.
Okay.
Full coverage, just to let you know, typically means you have collision coverage on your vehicle. Has nothing to do with injury, okay? So you got in an accident and now if somebody doesn't have insurance or if you're at fault, your car will be paid for. But what about you, right? Like what about your injuries and damages? So a couple things. You have liability coverage if you get in an accident and cause it, okay? These limits should be in line with your assets and or what somebody can get. Because if you don't have enough and somebody's really injured, they can go after you in other ways outside of the insurance policy. So I tell people, I say a minimum, even if you don't have assets of $100,000, $300,000 of coverage, meaning $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. So if there's 4 people in the car, not everybody can get 100, right? Because you have to take 300 divided by 4.
Oh.
But if there's 3 people in the car, each person could, realistically, if the case is worth it, get 100. Just as important as your liability coverage is your underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage. So, I mean, we just got out of a pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs. It's been a tough time for a lot of people. A lot of people are driving without insurance right now, more so than I've ever seen. Ooh. So but you can protect yourself from that, right? So you have this coverage. Everybody's required to have it in Connecticut. Underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage. Mm-hmm. So if somebody hits you without insurance, your insurance company comes in and says, wait. So-and-so has coverage through us, and they step into the shoes of the tortfeasor's insurance or the person that caused the accident's insurance.
Yeah, I've heard before that you should really bump that up, right? It's not very expensive, and you can just get more of it.
I mean, you should have your liability and underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage the same.
Okay.
But again, you got to remember, in Connecticut, we're not a no-fault system here. Okay. So in New York, if you get in an accident, up to $50,000 of your medical bills and wages are paid off the top from your insurance right out of the gate. We're not like that. You have to wait till the case settles here, no matter what the insurance company tells you. Okay. So that underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage needs to be as high as you can afford, because if you break your leg, I mean, if you can't work for 4 months, that's a ton of money in wages. The injury itself is horrific. The medical bills could be $250. By the time you blink your eye, you're through $100,000, $300,000 coverage. So I always recommend people for carry this $300,000 of coverage. Umbrellas, guys, are so cheap.
Yeah.
So
I have one.
I have one.
You should. I have one as well. They're so cheap, though. So. Yeah. $250, $500 should be your underlying coverage at the very minimum for your UIM, or underinsured motorist, uninsured motorist, and for your liability. Then you should have an umbrella on top of it. I have to tell you, I have a case that these people only had $200,000 of asset, right? The kid almost killed my client. I mean, my client has had 3 major leg surgeries, and they thought she didn't make it at the scene, right? Wow. The parents have $1.5 million of coverage. They will keep their house. Right. Why? Because they have enough coverage. So there's never enough, but I mean, at least comparable. And I tell my client every day, you're so lucky, because if you knew the area,
they could go after your house. They can go after everything.
They can go after everything. So MedPay coverage is another coverage you need to know about. So in Connecticut, it's optional. You need to get it. It's inexpensive. It's free medical money. So if you don't have health insurance, if you have a huge deductible, you can get $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. I had one with $100,000 one time. Free medical money. So take it. You need to get it through your insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing. The one other thing I'd say is underinsured motorists and uninsured. Uninsured motorists is clearly if you're hit by somebody without insurance, but there's also underinsured motorists. Well, what if the person's driving around with $25,000, which is the state minimum of coverage in Connecticut, but you get a broken leg from the accident? Your underinsured motorist will come in after you exhaust the $25,000 and will cover the additional amount that you need. Okay.
Well, thank you. This has been really eye-opening.
And a lot of people don't know, and they don't do anything about cases because they think they can't.
Yeah. Okay. So a good thing to check with your agent or call where you get your insurance. For more information, you can visit gofflawgroup.net or call the number right there on your screen, 203-399-0000.